I spent all my savings to contract a barren mountain. The precious medicinal herbs I planted were all looted by the whole village the night before harvest. After I called the police, they all agreed to say they didn't know it was privately contracted. They thought it was wild. Plus, the law can't punish the masses. All my hard work was destroyed in one night. My seriously ill sister ran out of the life-saving medicine. She passed away, and I didn't shed a single tear. I just carved the faces of Zhao Defa and every leader of the looting deep into my bones. 8 years later, I bought the land near their village. I built a legal pollution treatment plant. Mr. Gu, all the procedures are done. The land around this abandoned factory has also been fully acquired. I didn't even lift my head, just looked at the document stamped with a bright red official seal. Absolutely legal and compliant. Mr. Gu, the exhaust gas and water quality discharge fully meet national standards, but we used the cheapest deodorizing catalyst. It's non-toxic, but the smell is like 100 dead rats fermented for 10 days. Ignite at exactly 12 o'clock tonight. Run at full capacity. 8 years ago, you relied on the law not punishing the masses and legal loopholes to eat my flesh. 8 years later, I won't use a knife or shed blood. I will crush you with legal and compliant capital. I'll make you know what it's like to wish you were dead. That night at midnight, a north wind blew. It was accompanied by a faint but brain-piercing low-frequency hum. Within 30 minutes, all the dogs in the village went crazy, barking wildly. Then, the sound of dry heaving rose and fell. Curses tore through the night sky. What's that smell? Did someone dump manure? Whose septic tank exploded? It's the middle of the night, so noisy. I sat on the leather sofa in my penthouse in the city center, watching the real-time drone footage Lin Yuan sent. The people of Zhao family village were grabbing their clothes, covering their noses, and rushing out of their houses like ants scalded by boiling water. Leading them was the village chief, Zhao Defa, who had aged 8 years but was still as arrogant. He was jumping and cursing at my brightly lit environmental factory not far away. I picked up my wineglass. I gently clinked it against Zhao Defa's face on the monitor. What's the hurry, old man? This is just the appetizer. That nauseating stench and the brain-boring low-frequency noise only lasted for 3 nights. Zhao family village was in complete chaos. On the morning of the 4th day, I sat in my office on the top floor of the factory with panoramic glass windows. I picked up a cup of pour-over coffee. Outside the factory gate downstairs, a dark crowd of over 100 people had gathered. Leading them was the old village chief, Zhao Defa. 8 years had passed, and his hair was mostly white. He still held the same tobacco pipe he used to hit me on the head. Behind him were all the village's able-bodied men and the loud, rolling women, carrying shovels and clubs, and pulling a white banner with black characters. Heartless factory, get out of Zhao family village. Compensate for mental distress. How ironic. The people who looted my mountain and killed my sister back then are now talking to me about compensation. Mr. Gu, they're starting to move out. She looked at the surveillance screen downstairs. Her red lips curled into a mocking, cold smile. Open the door a crack. Let a few mad dogs in. Understood. Security, open the door and handle it. Everyone fall back. Don't fight back. Zhao Defa saw this and thought the factory was scared. He immediately charged in lie he was on steroids. The few burly men behind him were even more arrogant. Cursing obscenities, and swinging their clubs, they smashed the glass of the guardhouse with a bang. Smash this dump. It stinks to high heaven. It's ruining our village's fruit harvest. If you don't pay us at least $1 million today, I'll tear this place down myself. Zhao Defa pointed at the security guard and yelled, spittle flying everywhere. The law can't punish the masses. We're many, what's there to be afraid of? Right, the law can't punish the masses. We're many, what's there to be afraid of? I stood up slowly, adjusted the cufflinks of my custom suit, and walked out of the office building with Lin Wan. When he saw me come out, Zhao Defa was stunned. 8 years can change a person's appearance. The man in front of him, in a suit and tie, with a fierce aura, he couldn't recognize at all, as the down-and-out youth he had trampled into the dirt. Are you the bot of this dump? Zhao Defa pointed his pipe at me, a contemptuous look in his eyes. 4 eyes, if you don't pay up today, you won't have a moment's peace. I couldn't help but smile and waved my hand. Lin Wan beside me stepped forward. She pulled a document from her black briefcase and unfurled it with a swish. Her voice was icy and piercing. Village Chief Zhao, take a good look. Dingxing Environmental Technology is a key municipal project. Here is the Environmental Protection Bureau's surprise inspection report from 2 days ago. This plant's exhaust and noise emissions fully comply with the law. Zhao Defa knocked the document out of Lin Wan's hand. He started acting like a thug. All I know is that now I can't sleep because of the stench. Hit him. As soon as he said that, a young man with dyed yellow hair raised a shovel and smashed it towards a small distribution box next to the factory. I recognized that yellow-haired guy. His name is Zhao Taizhu. 8 years ago, he was the one who drove the tractor and took my biggest batch of Paris polyphila. The law can't punish the masses, huh? I pushed up my glasses. The smile on my face instantly disappeared. It was replaced by extreme coldness. I turned to my female secretary beside me. Also, call the police. Also, bring out the notary. Within 5 minutes, 3 police cars screeched to a stop outside the factory gate. At the same time, 2 uniformed notaries, carrying cameras and documents, came out of the office building with recording equipment. The villagers were momentarily intimidated by the sudden appearance of the police, but Zhao Defa immediately played the victim. Officers, this factory is seriously polluting. We're defending our rights. We had no choice. The leading officer frowned, looking at the trashed guardhouse and the dented distribution box. Officer, this is the synchronized cell footage from 36 high-definition wide-angle cameras around the factory. These people just now gathered to attack a legally registered enterprise, causing trouble. The distribution box he smashed is a custom-made German control cabinet. The assessed damage is 250,000 yuan. The special explosion-proof glass in the guardhouse is worth 32,000 yuan, and all the above equipment was fully insured. The notary has already recorded and collected evidence on 60O. A rusty iron box costs 250,000? Are you trying to rip us off? The price bureau will verify it. I leaned in slightly, looking into Zhao Tieju's terrified eyes, and enunciated each word. Article 275 of the criminal law. Intentionally destroying public or private property, if the amount is huge, is punishable by 3 to 7 years in prison. I straightened up. My blade-like gaze swept across the crowd. You don't have to say it. The law doesn't punish the masses. Our factory's AI facial recognition system has already locked onto all 19 people who smashed things. Not one of you will get away. We are farmers. We don't know the law. It's okay not to know the law. Today, I'm giving you a free legal lesson. You can learn slowly once you're inside. The police acted swiftly. They directly handcuffed the 19 troublemakers identified by the surveillance footage, and put them all in the police cars. The remaining people scattered in fear, fleeing the factory area in a panic. Watching the police cars drive away, I turned to Lin Wan and gave my second order. Smashing a factory means jail time. Paying compensation is only right and proper. But they wanted to sell the village's fruit and agricultural products to raise the fine money. I sneered. Lin Wan understood immediately. She quickly pulled a huge redline map of the land from her bag. With cold eyes and red lips, she spat out her icy plan. Mr. Gu, the construction team is in place. This afternoon, we can enclose the 5 kilometers dirt road, the only way out of Zhao family village, with a 3-meter-high iron fence. The reason is to protect the internal ecology of the private industrial plot. But Mr. Gu, that's a main road. If it's blocked, large trucks can't get in. With the scorching heat, the 2,000 mu of lychees and mangoes in Zhao family village will probably all rot in the village, a total loss. Isn't that exactly the effect I want? I walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, looking down at the panicked Zhao family village in the distance. 8 years ago, they relied on their numbers to cut off the lifeline for my sister's life-saving medicine. Today, I'm putting up a few fences on my own legal land. It's perfectly reasonable. As for whether they'll starve, a cruel smile curled at the corner of my mouth. I downed the coffee in my cup. What's that got to do with me? The next morning, the people of Zhao family village were awakened by the rumbling of machinery. When village chief Zhao Defa, along with the villagers who hadn't been arrested the night before, rushed to the village entrance, still half asleep, everyone gasped. A dozen large excavators were parked on the road they had used for decades to leave the village. Workers were driving deep concrete posts into the ground on both sides of the road. Sheets of 3-meter-high, spike-topped, anti-climb wire mesh were being quickly welded together. In the middle of the wire mesh, only one small gate was left, barely wide enough for a small tricycle to pass through. What are you doing? This is our road out of the village. What right do you have to block it? Zhao Defa was shaking with rage, pointing his tobacco pipe at the construction crew and yelling. Accompanied by the crisp sound of high heels, Lin Wan walked over with 2 lawyers. She was wearing a light gray professional skirt suit. In front of a group of rough villagers, she exuded a cold, professional beauty. Don't be so angry so early in the morning. Lin Wan stopped gracefully. She unfurled a land map stamped with the City Planning Bureau seal. In front of Zhao Defa, her red lips parting slightly. This 5 kilometers dirt road was originally built on the land of the abandoned factory. Now, our Mr. Gu has bought this land outright. According to property law, this is private property. We are building a fence on our own land to protect the factory's safety. It's legal and reasonable. Bullshit, we've been using this road for 8 years. What right do you have to block it? A fruit farmer's eyes were red with anger. My 5 tons of lychees need to be at the cold storage before 6 o'clock today. You're blocking the big trucks. My fruit will all rot on the truck. Our 2,000 mu of orchards are counting on these few days to ship. You're killing us. The villagers were in a frenzy. Lin Wan's expression didn't change at all. She tilted her head slightly, her gaze coldly sweeping over them. She pointed to the small iron gate nearby. Out of humanitarian concern, Mr. Gu has specially left a 1.5-meter wide emergency passage. You can use tricycles or shoulder poles to carry things out. As for large trucks, there's an important sewage pipe buried under the land. The load capacity is limited. If you damage it, you can't afford to pay for it. I'm going to the city to sue you. Zhao Defa was furious. The city government complaint hotline is 12345. Please, go ahead. Lin Wan politely handed him a business card, sneered, turned around, and walked away in her high heels. The next few days were a living hell for Zhao family village. The factory's stench still drifted into the village with the wind every night on time. Worse, it was the height of summer. Their agricultural products, their livelihood, because the big trucks couldn't get in, could only be moved out by small carts, basket by basket. The scorching sun and low efficiency meant that within a week, most of the pile-up lychees and mangoes in Zhao family village had rotted. The rotten fruit, mixed with the stench from the factory, plunged the entire village into a swamp of despair. I still sat in my office on the top floor of the factory, coldly watching it all. The office door was gently pushed open. Lin Wan walked in with a thick folder. Mr. Gu, it's time to close the net. She walked to my large desk and leaned in slightly. Her light gray skirt outlined her capable figure. She opened the folder. Her slender finger pointed at rows of dense data. 8 years ago, Zhao family village made their first fortune by selling that batch of dubious precious medicinal herbs. They all built small western-style houses. They started large orchards, but their greed was too heavy to expand their scale and keep up with the Joneses. Over 70% of the families in the village had taken out loans from the town's credit union. Some even borrowed from private loan sharks. She looked up. A sharp glint of satisfaction flashed in her eyes. They were counting on selling this year's fruit to pay off the debt. Now the fruit is rotten. The capital chain is completely broken. The largest non-performing asset management company in Donghai City, which is Tianqing Capital, secretly controlled by you, signed a non-performing asset package acquisition agreement with the major banks last month. The creditor for Zhao family village's over 9 million yuan in overdue loans has all become Tianqing Capital. I closed the folder. The light behind my glasses was as cold as a knife. What was used as collateral? All their new small western-style houses, orchard contract rights, and even their agricultural tractors. Lin Wan's voice was cold, every word like a knife. Good. I straightened my suit cufflinks. My tone had no warmth. Go to the court and handle the procedures. Before 4 p.m. today, I want the compulsory preservation order for all the mortgaged property. Notify the court enforcement bureau to dispatch officers tomorrow morning. Since the fruit is rotten and they can't pay, they'll have to use their houses and land to settle the debt. Understood. Lin Wan neatly closed the file, turned on her high heels, and strode out of the office to execute this legal death sentence. The next morning, when 8 police cars and 3 large tow trucks from the Donghai City Court Enforcement Bureau rolled into Zhao family village in a mighty procession, the 1.5-meter-wide small iron gate was cut open directly by the Enforcement Bureau's breaching tools. It crashed to the ground with a bang. Zhao family village is doomed. What are you doing? That's my car. I just bought it. Don't put a seal on it. This house was our whole future. My son is getting married next month. Wailing cries echoed throughout the village. The bailiffs were unmoved. White seals with black characters were mercilessly pasted on the doors of those newly renovated small western-style houses, on the fences of the newly cultivated orchards, and on the agricultural machinery and cars in the yards. They were directly locked onto the tow trucks and hauled away. You're robbers. Robbery in broad daylight. Zhao Defa's wife sat on the ground, thrashing and wailing, her hands desperately clinging to the bailiff's leg. The bailiff coldly shook her off, and presented the court's compulsory enforcement order. Wang Suihua, your family's 800,000 yuan agricultural loan from the credit union has been overdue for 3 months. The creditor has legally applied for property preservation. Your 311 house and the orchard in front of it are now under court seizure. No one is allowed to damage them. Awaiting auction. On the other side, at the home of Zhao Taizhu, who had been detained for smashing the distribution box, the old couple was kneeling on the ground, wailing loudly. Because of their son's affray and the huge medical compensation, their newly built house was also sealed. The more arrogant Zhao family village had been, the more desperate they were now. Their proud small western-style houses, their orchards that were their livelihood, in the face of absolutely legal capital and the machinery of national law, were crushed into dust. I was wearing my spotless black custom suit, standing on a distant hillside. The mountain wind blew my coat. My hands were in my pockets, tightly clutching the old, faded red string that Xiao 11 had braided for me. Xiao 11, do you see this? That winter, they relied on their numbers to take away your chance to lie. Now, Big Brother is using the most legal, most flawless procedures to take away all their options. Lin Wan stood quietly half a step behind me. She handed me a black cashmere coat. Draping it over my shoulders, she said, Mr. Gu, the wind is picking up. I didn't look back. I just coldly looked down at the villagers crying and wailing. In front of the court seals, lie beaten dogs. The real show is just beginning. The court seals were the devastating bomb that crushed Zhao family village. But in my flawless, dimension-reducing strike, this was still the last step. When people still have land to occupy and water to drink, they won't truly feel the taste of their backbone breaking. 3 days later, the water supply to Zhao family village was cut off. The abandoned old well had also dried up years ago due to over-extraction of groundwater. What's going on? Is the water pump broken? The villagers, carrying plastic buckets, anxiously rushed to the village committee. The answer they got plunged them into an ice cellar. The town said that the newly built Beilongtan reservoir upstream officially started impounding water today. That reservoir was just yesterday, by Dingxing Environmental Technology, under the guise of industrial cooling water storage, legally purchased for a 30-year exclusive usage right. They closed the sluice gate to the minimum ecological baseflow required by the state. The water flowing to our village isn't even enough to water the fruit trees, let alone drink. The road was blocked, the houses were seized, and now even their vital water source was legally cut off. The entire Zhao family village was like a dead city, being roasted over a fire by the heat and stench. In this extreme despair, the solid fortress of the law can't punish the masses finally began to crumble from within. First, a few young men whose houses had been sealed, stormed into village chief Zhao Defa's yard with red eyes. "You old bastard! If you hadn't stirred up trouble back then, leading the charge to rob the herbs on that mountain, would we have provoked this kind of living demon today?" They started brawling with the irrational villagers. The sounds of wailing and cursing even drowned out the rumbling of my factory's machines. The thugs who had banded together for profit back then, after all their options were taken away, began to tear into each other more viciously than starving wolves. 2 days later, at noon, Mr. Gu Lin-wan pushed open the door to the president's office. Her light gray skirt swayed slightly with her brisk steps. A hint of contemptuous satisfaction showed on her cold, beautiful face. The people of Zhao family village can't hold on anymore. The remaining 50 or so people in the village are kneeling outside the factory gate. Several old men and women are almost collapsing from exhaustion. I slowly closed the legal asset list in my hand, leaned back in my leather chair, and gently swirled the burgundy wineglass in my hand. "How long have they been kneeling?" 3.5 hours. "Should I call security to see you them down with a fire hose?" "No, water is expensive." I put down the glass, stood up, and straightened my unwrinkled suit. The grand drama has reached its final act. As the protagonist, I should personally go take a bow. When I walked out with Lin Wan, from behind the slowly sliding metal gate, the previously dead silent crowd immediately stirred. Zhao Defa, as if grasping at his last straw, crawled and scrambled towards the gate. He had long lost the arrogant demeanor he had when pointing his pipe at me half a month ago. His hair was as messy as dry grass. His clothes were covered in mud and footprints from being beaten. He looked as if he had aged 20 years, blocked by the iron fence. He could only grab my pant leg through the gap. His face was a mess of tears and snot. "Big brother, we won't do it again. We'll pull money to fix your gate. Please, have mercy. Tell the court to remove the seals. Open the sluice gate. If this continues, hundreds of people in the village will die of thirst and hunger." The villagers behind him frantically kowtowed. "We are just farmers scratching a living from the soil. You are a magnanimous person. Don't stoop to our level. We're just ignorant of the law." The sun was blazing. Lin Wan stepped forward in her high heels, silently holding up a large black umbrella. I looked down, at the face full of wrinkles and terror beneath my feet. 8 years. I imagined the thrill of revenge countless times, but I find that at this moment, my heart is only filled with an abyss-like coldness. I slowly bent down, reached up, and took off my wire-rimmed glasses. I casually handed them to Lin Wan behind me, without the lenses in the way. My eyes, full of coldness and killing intent, were completely exposed to Zhao Defa. I stared at him, a cruel smile curling at the corner of my mouth. "Take a good look at these knees of mine. When you kicked me in the snow 8 years ago, you were pretty strong, weren't you?" Zhao Defa's crying got stuck in his throat. His whole body trembled violently. He jerked his head up, staring at my face in terror. Through the overlap of time, he finally, on the face of this capitalist in a suit, who controlled their life and death, found the shadow of that young man from years ago. Zhao Defa let go of my pant leg as if electrocuted. He collapsed onto the scorching asphalt road, his eyes losing focus. You're that little brat. Back then, you said the things on the barren mountain belonged to the state. Who saw me plant them? I stood up, looking down at these people like ants. My voice wasn't loud, but every word fell on their hearts like heavy stones. Then today, I'll tell you the same thing. Your bankruptcy, your houses being seized, your water and roads being cut off. These are all laws of the market economy and legal, compliant business operations. Who saw me taking revenge on you? Even a villain should be given a way out. Xiao Yi, we're from the same village. You can't be so heartless. You're pushing people to their deaths. Aren't you afraid of retribution? Zhao Defa roared in despair, trying to use morality and blood ties to blackmail me one last time. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I grabbed Zhao Defa by the collar and pulled him in front of me. I growled through gritted teeth, eyes red. On that snowy night 8 years ago, my 16-year-old sister Xiao 11 lay on a ragged bed, gasping for breath, waiting for me to buy emergency medicine. All 80+ people in your village, for at SA of 2 or 3,000 dirty bucks each. You cut off my lifeline. I knocked on every door back then, and kowtowed to you all. What did you say? You said ignorance is an excuse, and the law doesn't punish the many. You built fancy houses with blood money from my sister, bought orchards and married off your sons. Are those really your homes? They're built on Gu Xiaoxi's flesh and blood. Zhao Defa trembled at the murder in my eyes. A wheezing sound leaked from his throat. He couldn't utter a single word. I threw him to the ground like trash, pulled out a white handkerchief to wipe my hands, and tossed it on his face. I obey the law. I won't lay a finger on any of you. I turned around, took the gold-rimmed glasses from Lin Wan and put them on, completely resuming my cold, aloof capitalist persona. With my back to the wailing crowd, I delivered the final verdict to Zhao Village. You lie having strength in numbers, don't you? Well, tomorrow morning, the town government will forcibly evict your auction homes, take your wives and kids, and all of you go experience what it means to wish for death, but find none. From now on, no stray dogs are allowed near my private land. Det, Mr. Gu. with the heavy electric gate, slamming shut with a bang. All the lop and despair of Zhao village were forever sealed outside my lawful steel walls. 1 month later, a rare early snow fell on Donghai City in late autumn, at Nanshan Cemetery on the outskirts. The only sound was snowflakes falling. I wore a pure black cashmere coat, and held a black umbrella, slowly walking to a half-full tombstone. The photo of Gu Xiao 11 on it was forever 16. Smiling pale but warm. Brother, I'm here to see you. I crouched down, carefully wiped the snow off the tombstone with my sleeve, then pulled out a thermos box and opened it. Inside lay a few I had someone find in the deep mountains of Yunnan, the finest wild Paris polyphylla. I don't believe in gods or Buddhas, but I placed these million dula herbs carefully before his grave. When we were kids, I reached out and patted his head in the photo through the air. I didn't tell him that the people of Zhao village, now defaulters, were wandering everywhere. No one even dared hire them at shady factories, nor that Zhao Defa had a stroke while scavenging and was now paralyzed in a bridge tunnel. I just tilted the umbrella slightly forward to shield Xiao 11 from the wind and snow. I chuckled softly. Finally, a hint of relief and warmth in my eyes. You don't have to be afraid of the cold anymore. Brother stands tall now, afraid of no one. Wind swept snowflakes across the cemetery. The howl sounded like a 16-year-old girl, across 8 years of time, gently hugging my shoulders. Not far away, Linwan parked the car, wearing a long black trench coat. She stood quietly in the snow, waiting for me. I stood up, took a long look at the tombstone, then turned and walked into the wind and snow. This time in Donghai City, no one can take anything from me again.